Senior Minister, Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man. One look at his resume and the reason becomes clear. His mission is to live, move, and be an active, which is an acronym, authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, emancipate, awaken, and empower people and communities. Reverend Rev, this is not the Apollo.
The Apollo.
No.
Oh, because I rubbed Buddha's head.
Yes,
oh.
exactly.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Good morning, everyone. So let's breathe in all of that amazing deliciousness we've had so far, from pre-service meditation, pre-service music, in-service music, and in-service spiritual practice, and all of the stuff y'all are sharing, all the love you're sharing in the chat. Because the theme must continue on what's already been laid. Like this foundation, as Eugene just said, this idea of the common unity, what it means to be in community. How do we demonstrate this thing called the beloved community? Today, October 3rd, we are talking about what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said when he often spoke about the beloved community, a world in which all people share the wealth of the earth and violations of human decency are not tolerated. Breathe that in. We see the future and our current station as an embodiment of this realization for all. And we lay the foundation for this experience in the way we live our lives daily. That's the key part, how we show up. Now, within CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living, one of the statements in our global vision says, we envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience, right? That's the global vision. But check this out. Have you ever driven down the road and there's something in the middle of the road? Now, it might be, in this case, a tree. Sometimes it's a duck or a Canadian goose. Well, that's if you live near us. Sometimes, it's road construction, but sometimes there are things that block the path. Well, what do? What is the obstruction that is in the path, right? So what is obstructing us from living what that global vision spoke about? What is preventing us or shifting our consciousness so that we are not able to live and grow as one global family? What is causing us to not be able to respect and honor? What is causing us to see a disconnectedness within all life? What is the thing that's in the road? What is the thing that's holding us back? Now, an interesting thing is, I do what I do as part of my research and looking at, how I want to deliver today's message. And I come across this image, this website, what to do when you see a road obstruction when driving. And I immediately thought, well, what do we do when we see an obstruction in our lives? Well, other than going to cslgreaterbaltimore.org, but what do we do? So this website had a list of things of how to handle an obstruction in the road, which, as I always say, anything that is happening in the physical realm, we must understand that there is a spiritual template, a metaphysical backing, a metaphysical grounding that we are invited to also see as well. So if there's a technical way to handle an obstruction in the road, then there must be something that guides us to how to handle obstructions that we experience in life. Well, very first and foremost thing is you have to identify what the obstruction is, right? You have to know what it is. That's why we go get a physical, we go to the dentist. We want to know which tooth, what's going on, where in my body. We have to identify what the thing is. Then don't distress about it. Don't get all bent out of shape. Feel what you feel, but don't allow yourself to become so obsessed with and so, oh my God, Tracy, what? There's a duck in the road.
Oh my.
We're never going to get where we're trying to go.
Let it go.
Right? Let it go. So don't distress. Feel the anger, feel the whatever that is, but don't distress about it. Then assess, make an assessment of what's going on. Do we need a detour? What spiritual practice am I invited to do? What practitioner do I call? What is it that is mine to do regarding this? Then process it. Okay, so if this, then that. Don't digress. Don't go backwards and say, if you had listened to me, then when we'd have took exit 17, we wouldn't have ran into the ducks at all. Like, don't digress. Don't go into the whole, don't go there. Blame game, because we do that a lot, even within ourselves. It's my fault. If I had gotten up 20 minutes earlier and we left 20 minutes earlier, then we wouldn't have, right? Like you wouldn't have forgotten your wallet because I would have been able to remind you.
Really?
And then make progress. Move. Just because it's there, just because you are still able to move. But we are invited to engage the process, right? We have to engage the process. Ernest Holmes says, love is the only final security in the universe. Now be mindful, pause. The love he is talking about is not the syrupy, Sleepless in Seattle. No diss to that movie, but it's not a love story kind of love. This is love referring to that which spirit is. Spirit, because we could put the universe is the only final security in the universe. God is the only final security in the universe, right? It's what it is. Love is the greatest healing power in the universe and the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. Love really is the fulfillment of the law of good. Love alone can heal the world and enable people to live together in unity and peace. Once again, this kind of love is not about getting in a circle singing kumbaya when someone is putting a knee on someone's neck and killing them. That is not this love. Be aware. Breathe. This is also not the kind of love that says, oh, I know you were traumatized. I know you were raped. Just forgive them and get over it. No, that is not this kind of love either. This kind of love says, do what you need to do to heal you. And if you reach a place, ideally that would be great, reach a place where you feel back in harmony with your own being and sacredness, because it's never about them. That's this love. Learning how to be at one with, not bypassing or jumping across the chasm of to hurry up and get to the, let's all just feel good and, positivity, yay, kumbaya. You put your right foot in, it's not that. But what are we supposed to do with this thing called love, however? Because Piglet says, hey, Pooh, how do you spell love? To which Pooh replies, Piglet, you don't spell it, you feel it. Aww. So how do you feel? Now, remember, we're not just talking about the syrupy, emotion of love. Very easily, Piglet could be saying, Pooh, how do you spell God? To which Pooh replies, Piglet, you don't spell God, you feel it. You don't spell beloved community, you feel it. You don't spell oneness, you feel it. In Science of Mind 365, second paragraph, Holmes reminds us, feeling about. So let's start. There is an intelligence in everything, from the smallest atom to whatever we think of as big. And that intelligence must, of necessity, respond to us intelligently. God is always acting upon itself. Then automatically, we will have to assume that it can only respond to us at the level of our belief in, knowledge of, feeling about, acceptance and embodiment of, and identification with it. Love is meant to be believed in, known, felt, accepted, embodied, and identified with. Now, thanks to the Greeks, there are a great many ways that we can categorize love. Philia, pragma, storge, etc. Then you get to agape, unconditional, love without bounds, love without condition. Now, in terms of these are the ways that we feel and identify how to express love. It's important to be mindful and be aware, where is my obstruction? Philia, love of friends, connecting with community and friends. Storge, how you love family, birth family or family of choice. Well, what if I have an obstacle to, my family abused me and I don't, I'm going to store my storge in a storage unit where I don't never have to see it.
Well,
what does that do for me? What does that do for my beloved community? What does that do for the world? So being mindful, how many people misinterpret eros, erotic love, for philia? You automatically see someone hugging, you're like, ooh, they must be booed up.
come on.
No, that's a friend. Why do we say men aren't supposed to express emotion? Because we identify it with certain kinds of, that's weakness. Certain things on here, it's weakness. And yet we understand, as Holmes said, love is this power and presence that binds us, connects us. Is that not what Yoda said? The force is that which binds us together. It moves in us and through us and as us. When we know how to believe in love, believe in, have knowledge of, feel it, accept it, and embody it, then it becomes a transformative power. It's not just something in a greeting card. It's not just something in a box of candy. It's not just in a gift. It's not just in a hug. It's not just in a sexual encounter, but it's in how you make dinner. It's in how you greet people in your neighborhood. It's how you pump gas, how you do your gardening or your art. It's how you do, wait a minute, do we not say how you do anything is how you do everything? So how you love anyone can become how you love everyone. How you see God, namaste, in one can become how you see God in all, including yourself. Ernest Holmes says, compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Compassion and caring. But see, there's this piece to compassion and caring that we often miss. Self-compassion. We cannot give to another what we refuse to give to ourselves. Being kind to yourself, recognizing common humanity, and practicing mindfulness are just some of the ways that we are able to enact, embody, engage this thing called compassion. Brene Brown says, a deep sense of love and belonging is an irreducible need of all people. Breathe that in. All people have a deep sense of wanting to be loved and wanting to belong. We are a communal species. She goes on to say, we are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. We are wired for this. We are hardwired for God to be what it is as us. That's what that means. And how God shows up biologically, how God shows up cognitively, how God shows up physically is the wiring. It's the very genetic, spiritual DNA, physical DNA, biological DNA. It is all that we are. And we are wired to be God, to love as God, to be loved by God, and to belong to one another as God belongs to itself. Bell Hooks says, one of the most vital ways we sustain ourselves is by building communities of resistance. Now, let's pause, because I know some of y'all were like, but what you resist persists.
Yeah.
What she's referring to, remember that phrase not too long ago where it said, we will not tolerate certain types of behavior, certain stages of consciousness. We resist it, meaning we stand for what is going to heal that. We speak up when we see or hear of an injustice. Resistance does not mean, because check this out, I guarantee you that if one of your children was in the process of being grabbed by someone at the school bus stop, and you tell your child what? To move, is that not resisting? They are resisting being taken, right? They are moving in the opposite direction of the person who is moving them. That's resistance. So resistance in and of itself is not the enemy. Breathe. She goes on to say, building communities of resistance, places where we know we are not alone. Places where we know we are not alone. If we're talking about beloved community and recognizing that you are not alone, then we recognize even when I feel alone, because there is this teaching, because God is all there is, then even when I am by myself, I am never alone, because that which is the infinite is always breathing itself as me. And when I can anchor and ground in that, even while feeling alone and abandoned, and remind myself, believe, love, have knowledge of, spirit, I feel lonely, I feel abandoned, and yet I know that there is no way that I truly could ever be, and I breathe. You are not alone. You never have been, you never can be, you never will be, because you are the very incarnation, individualization of the universe in human form. Breathe. S. Kelly Harrell says, we don't heal in isolation, we heal in community. Why? Because that community, our common unity, our oneness of spirit is where we heal together. It takes a village to raise a child, then it takes a village to heal a child, to nurture a child, to pour into the life of a child. And are we not all children of someone? So it takes me to pour into you. It takes you to pour into Tracy. It takes Tracy to pour into another. We all are here, healing, growing, loving in community. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says, our goal is to create a beloved community, and this will require a qualitative change in our souls. This is what Eugene read earlier. Qualitative change in our souls, as well as a quantitative change in our lives. It's not just about what you do in your head. You can think all you want about a world that works for all. It's a world that works for all. Oh my goodness, I'm grateful and I'm happy that it works for all. Come on, people. We understand that you can think it in your head all you want, but until you live it, until you embody it, did it not say believe, have knowledge of, feel it, embody it, live it? That's when we get to see. Well, what did dude say? What's his name? Gandhi. What did he say? Be the change. Be it. Don't just do it, because sometimes people, they'll do something. Oh, that was a random act of kindness. A random act versus doing random acts of kindness. Every action that I engage in is an act of kindness. See, when you are being it, you can't help but to do it. They are one and the same. Bell Hooks goes on to say in another place, breathe on this one. Beloved community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but by its affirmation. By each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world. See, it's one thing to say we are radically inclusive, we are welcoming, affirming stuff. But if we're not living this, if we're not embracing all of the shades and all of the races and all of the gender identities and all of it, embrace it all, because it's all of the ways that God is showing up. Until we do that, then we are not truly radically inclusive, welcoming, affirming. So therein lies the practice. What is the obstacle that I have to this? Where do I not affirm? Breathe. Because ultimately, this whole idea of being a beloved community is about how you build bridges, not walls. It's about how you connect hands, how you embrace, how you come together to communicate and collaborate and cooperate in the building of a world that works for all, in the building of a life that works for you, in the building of a family and a home that works for that family and that home, that community and that neighborhood, that city and that state, that country and that hemisphere and the world. It takes each and every one of us to do the work that we are called to do. G.K. Chesterton says, beloved community is not an idea that has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and not tried. Talk about a kick. It's difficult and hasn't truly been tried. Come on, people. We got smartphones that hold more information than those computers we used to use back in this, right? We've got more information. I'm not putting nobody's age out to Tracy, calm down. It's got more information in the palm of our hand. A watch, right? Thank you, Tracy. Smartwatches now. It's not even a phone anymore, it's a watch. James Bond, 007. Meet George Jetson. Scotty, beam me up, right? Like, come on now. We already know. And yet there is still this thing called dis-ease, discord with races and sexual orientation, etc. Is it not time for us to try it? Even if it's difficult, to do it anyway, because Yoda said there is no try. Either do or don't do. Relax, peoples, right? Just do it. Just do it. Breathe. Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson says, the old way of rugged individualism has gotten us where we are today. Some things have been beneficial and many others detrimental, not only to our thriving, but literally to our surviving. Take a breath. Tracy said, take a breath. Literally, some of our rugged individualism is killing people and the planet. We are right now called to a new way of interdependent, communal nurturing of all life and of the planet itself. This new way of being requires us to engage in the practice of radical, revolutionary love of self and to envelop as much as we are capable of all others. Love yourself so much that from the overflow, other people can't help but to be wet. They can't help but to feel the shine because you love yourself. I love myself so much so that I can love you so much, so that you can love you so much. And then you can love not only me, but that person and all of them and everything else. This does not mean we accept discordant, destructive behavior. It means we allow love to address it and to heal what needs to be healed in the world. We don't bypass it. We use our spirituality. We use our radical love to heal it. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, look, people, this is my remix and my paraphrase. This ain't how she spoke. Listen here, people. People are going to do things that are going to break the law. People are going to do things that you're going to look at and be like, ooh, wow, that's just off the chain. Then what do? You love them while you are putting them in jail. You love them while you are putting them in a mental institution for them to get the treatment they need. Now, in our day and age, we understand that the prison system and the mental health system need an overhaul as well, because they also are part of a system built on rugged individualism, capitalism. And so right now they don't work the way they could. And so we apply love to address and to heal what needs to be healed in the world, wherever it is showing up. And we breathe. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And you don't have to do it alone. Why? Because you're not alone. You are not alone. I felt Tracy singing. We are here with you. Like we're all in this together. One conversation at a time, one thought at a time, one human interaction at a time, one prayer at a time, one Reiki session at a time, one therapy session at a time, just one hug at a time from the person that don't like getting hugs, right? Raynick, I hope you're watching this. This week's assignment, your spiritual practice. Journal about what are the obstructions that you find in your life? What prevents you from living your best life? Just journal, write it down. And it doesn't matter, could be a person, could be a situation, could be an experience, a memory, whatever it is. What prevents you from living your best life? When you explore those obstructions deeply and honestly, what do you find as a possible strategy, a plan of action to help you remove them, to transcend them, to heal them? And before I forget, don't feel stressed if you're like, don't take notes. Just send an email to me or Tracy and we'll make sure you get a copy of the slides. Just reminding you of that for those who may be here for the first time or those who may have forgotten. All you gotta do is send an email and ask, and the slides will be sent to you. Just ask. What assistance are you seeking? What assistance are you seeking, requesting that will help you to transcend, transmute, transform the obstacles in your life, your family, your community, your city, your state, your country, your planet? What help are you asking for? What help are you seeking in order to do this work? And then lastly, and don't forget, Sue has made it possible that we can have a community forum to go over these questions.
Just let her know.
Just
that
let her
you're
know.
interested.
Just let her know that you're
I
interested.
told you earlier.
Tracy told you earlier, in case y'all can't hear her. And the last thing, have a conversation with 4 diverse people. And I specify that,
Yes.
meaning if I am a Black gay man, then I should have a conversation with a Black straight man, or a white gay man, or a white straight woman, or someone younger than me, someone older than me, someone who doesn't live in the same country, someone who their first language is different than mine, whatever it is. Diverse. Find diverse people to converse with about what beloved community looks like, what it feels like, and what it means to you, and what you believe or you feel that it will take to manifest it. Breathe. This week's declaration, if you are feeling so aligned, first I will say it, and then if you do feel aligned, repeat it with me. I am a presence of divine love wherever I am. Together, I am a presence of divine love wherever I am. Breathe, breathe in all of that. You are a divine presence of love wherever you are. So at this point, we anchor and ground in our closing, simply recognizing that everything that was said today is prayer. Every song, every meditation, every spiritual practice, every hand raised by the interpreters, it is all the divine moving and acting upon itself. And because that's what it is good, it is oh so good, it is healing, it is transformative, and it is the truth of what spirit is, incarnating, demonstrating itself, manifesting itself, individualizing itself in, through, and as us, individually and collectively. And because we are what it is, all that it is, we right here and right now declare and affirm answered prayer. We declare and affirm, knowing the truth of our being, we are a beloved community, and we are on the ground floor working to demonstrate and manifest a world that works for all. Why? Because it is already fully formed and fully functioning in the mind of God. That means that prayer, a world that works for all, is already so. Being love, being light, being joy, we simply let it be in gratitude, knowing it is already done. And so it is. Love you.